The observation deck of Station Kepler-7 hummed with the low thrum of quantum processors as Melissa pressed her palm against the reinforced glass. Beyond the viewport, 3 moons hung like silver coins against the obsidian tapestry of space, their surfaces scarred by centuries of mining operations. She traced the faint reflection of her face in the glass holder now, lines etched deep around her eyes from years of watching the stars for something that might never return. Contact in 30 seconds. Jack's voice crackled through her neural implant, steady despite the tremor she knew would be running through his hands. After 16 years, he still couldn't hide his tells from her. Melissa turned from the window, her boots magnetic locking to the deck plating as she crossed to the central holodisplay. The 3-dimensional projection flickered to life, rendering the approaching vessel in startling detail. It wasn't the sleek, organic architecture of the Vorakith ships. They remembered the ones that had descended through Earth's atmosphere like living meteor showers 2 decades ago. This was something else entirely, a hybrid monstrosity of chitinous biotech and human industrial design, bristling with weapon systems that made Station Kepler's defenses look like antique firearms. "That's not possible," Jack whispered, emerging from the station. His silver-streaked hair caught the amber emergency lighting, making him look like a ghost of the young engineer who'd stood beside her when the Alpha had first made contact. The energy signature, its reading as both Vorakith and Terran simultaneously. Melissa's throat tightened. She remembered the day the Alpha had landed, a creature of nightmare and beauty, its exoskeleton shifting through prismatic spectrums, compound eyes reflecting an intelligence so vast it had taken humanity's best xenolinguists 3 months to establish basic communication. The Vorakith had been fleeing something their species called the recursion, a wave of self-replicating antimatter that devoured entire star systems, rewriting the quantum foam of spacetime itself. The Alpha had been desperate. Its mate had died in the crossing between galaxies, and it carried within its biochambers 12 genetic pods, the last hope of the Vorakith bloodline. It had pleaded with humanity in frequencies that made people's teeth ache and their eyes water. "Shelter my children. I will draw the recursion away. When they are grown, they will remember your kindness." Earth's council had debated for 6 days while the Alpha's life systems failed. In the end, it had been Melissa who'd made the decision. She'd been director of xenobiological integration then, young and idealistic enough to believe that compassion could bridge the gulf between species. She'd accepted the pods, had them transferred to the cryogenic vaults beneath Station Kepler, and watched as the Alpha ship had launched itself into the void, trailing bioluminescent plasma like a comet's tail. They'd never heard from it again. "Incoming transmission," Jack said, his fingers dancing across the haptic interface. "It's Jack, they're using old Earth protocols. Military encryption from before the Consolidation Wars." The holodisplay shifted, and Melissa's breath caught in her chest. The face that materialized before them was humanoid, but fundamentally wrong in ways that made her hindbrain scream. Compound eyes, yes, but arranged in patterns that suggested human facial symmetry. Chitinous plates formed cheekbones and jawlines, but beneath them moved something like muscle, like flesh. The creature now the being, and the expression was disturbingly human despite the mandibles that framed 2 white teeth. Director Chen, Engineer Morrison. The voice was a chorus, multiple tones harmonizing into something that approximated human speech. "We've returned, as our genetic progenitor promised we would. You're one of the cubs." Melissa managed her scientific training warring with sheer disbelief. "We are the 12, the being replied. "I am Kyvera, first emergence, consensus speaker. Behind me stand 300,000 more children of the pods you sheltered, children of the integration you facilitated." Jack's hand found Melissa's, squeezing hard enough to hurt. 300,000. How? The pods only contained 12 genetic matrices. Kyvera's expression shifted something between pride and sorrow. "You studied our biology, but you couldn't have understood the depths of it. Each Vorakith carries within them the compressed genetic memory of their entire lineage. When you placed us in your cryogenic systems, when you fed us with your station's biomatter recyclers, we absorbed, we adapted, we dreamed in your digital networks and learned in your data streams." The holodisplay expanded, showing deck after deck of the approaching vessel. Melissa's stomach dropped. Beings moved through the corridors, some fully Vorakith, some predominantly human, most somewhere in between. They wore uniforms that blended Terran military design with organic armor plating. They operated weapon systems that looked grown rather than built. "The Alpha never intended to draw the recursion away," Melissa said quietly. "Pieces falling into place with the weight of collapsing stars. It was buying time, for you to grow, To integrate, yes. Kavera's compound eyes caught the light, multifaceted and unreadable. Our parent knew that Vrolkith alone couldn't stop the recursion. It had consumed 17 galaxies, adapting to every defense, every weapon. But humanity, ... The being leaned forward, and Melissa saw something like wonder in that alien human face. Humanity doesn't just adapt, you weaponize adaptation. You turn survival into art, desperation into innovation. The recursion, Jack breathed. It's coming here. It arrives in 47 standard hours, Kavera confirmed. We've run the calculations through quantum probability matrices that blend Vrolkith precognition with human strategic algorithms. Station Kepler and Earth's defense grid have a 0.003% chance of survival. Melissa's jaw clenched. And with your fleet, 42%. Kavera's mandibles clicked in what might have been a smile or a grimace. Better odds than our parent had, because you showed compassion when you could have shown fear. You sheltered us when you could have weaponized us. And now, Director Chen, we've come to return that compassion with a legion forged from two species. Carrying the strengths of both, the viewport suddenly blazed with light as the hybrid fleet emerged from quantum fog, ship after ship materializing around Station Kepler like a protective constellation. Each vessel bore the insignia Melissa had designed 16 years ago, a human hand cradling a Vrolkith genetic pod, now modified to show the pod hatching, hybrid forms emerging into starlight. The cubs came home, Jack whispered. No, Melissa corrected, watching as the impossible fleet positioned itself between her station and the dark edge of space, where something hungry was approaching. The cubs came home leading an army, one we helped create by simply choosing to be kind. Kavera's image flickered, preparing to disconnect. When the recursion arrives, it will find not one species standing alone, but two species standing as one. That is humanity's true gift. Director, not your weapons or your technology, but your capacity to turn strangers into family. The transmission ended, leaving Melissa and Jack alone with the viewscreen full of ships that were both terrifyingly alien and impossibly familiar. Legion born from an act of compassion, returned to pay that debt in the currency of survival. Somewhere in the dark between stars, something ancient and hungry was coming, but it would find itself facing something new, a hybrid fury of claw and calculation, of chitinous armor and human determination. United by a simple truth, the universe was about to learn. Compassion, given freely, returns as strength multiplied.